What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about how you can lower your bounce rate on your store. And these principles are going to be true no matter what industry you're in. So if you're ready for this, let's dive in. Now, let's just define what bounce rate is, because I'm pretty sure that most people know that when a visitor lands on a website and they leave after a few seconds, that's considered someone that bounced. But what about visitor B that spends a couple of minutes on the website but doesn't actually change page and then they hop back to Google? Now, they are both counted as someone that bounced. So you need to make sure they take action on that first page. That is how you get them away from being a bounce. And that's important. And we're going to go over why it's important to reduce your bounce rate. Well, first of all, if people are bouncing, you can be sure that's a sign they didn't find anything they were looking for, any kind of value. For the most part, at least from an e-commerce perspective, they definitely didn't find what they were looking for. And so that's a bad sign, right? And there could be a lot of reasons for that. We're going to dive into that in a little bit. But number two is that your product or service just didn't live up to their expectations. That's another clear result of a bounce. And obviously that's not good. That's not what you're looking for. You're paying most of the time for that traffic. So you want people to end up committing to something. Of course, ad platforms like Google and TikTok and Meta and so forth, they're not happy to see that someone bounces. They are collecting this data as well. And they're seeing it as a poor signal, which is something that they're using obviously to try to change the traffic. You know, they might be trying to send different pools of traffic to your website. If they're seeing the bounce, they might try to change whoever they're targeting, but also they're going to raise the CPM because they're basically seeing that, you know, your website is not actually able to convert people. So it's really, really, really important that you get your bounce rate down. Now, high bounce rate usually means that your offer is weak. It didn't hook anyone. That's why your conversion rate is low. But it could also mean that, you know, whatever medium or ad you're using, that there's some kind of disconnect between the ad and the landing page. So we cannot always say it's the landing page or the product page's fault. It could be the ad, right? So for example, let's say that you're telling people that you have a freebie included with every purchase, and that freebie is, you know, a big bottle or whatever, and then they come to the website and realize it was a cup. Like, stupid example, but that misconnection or that expectation not being filled means that people are going to be disappointed and they're going to leave. So sometimes it can be the ad copy that's wrong or the creative itself. And it's really, really important that if you're suffering from high bounce rate, that you're also looking at that connection between the ad and the landing page as well. So anyway, what are the best practices for fixing a high bounce rate? There's definitely some things that can be said that you want to take a look at as well. We just talked about this briefly. I'm not even going to go through it again about, you know, having that disconnect between the ad and the landing page. But there's a way for you to understand if that is a problem. And you can do this by setting up survey tools like Hotjar or Sigpull. Sigpull is even cheaper than Hotjar, so that's something you can consider. And let's say your average bounce rate is about 15 seconds. This is just an example. Then you could have this survey module pop up a few seconds before and ask them if there's anything they dislike on the website. It could be worded in a million different ways, but what you ultimately want is get people's initial reaction to the website. Like, is there any kind of misconnect, anything they didn't really like on the website? And you will get people being honest, because people love to just show their discomfort and tell you stuff like, oh, I think your product looks terrible, I don't trust your product, or I think it's too expensive. And this is the kind of data you want in order to understand what to fix in your ad or on your website, right? So the survey tool is really powerful here. And if you're just looking for the survey tool, I recommend Sigpull, because it's cheaper and even has some AI stuff. Now I saw that you can get sentiment out of tons of answers, so you can understand exactly what people are talking about as well. Now, the other way you can do it is through session recordings, right? So you can watch session recordings. You can watch every single session that bounced. That's a setting you can set up every single time in Mouseflow, in Clarity, in Hotjar, and all other tools, to be honest with you. And you can watch session recordings of people that bounced, and you can see what they did or what they didn't do. That's really powerful, because you might see that they're not browsing down, they're not scrolling down. I mean, that tells you that people are not excited, they're not seeing anything they want. So you can see a lot from session recordings by seeing the scroll depth, by seeing what they're clicking on, what they're hovering over. I also recommend looking at heat maps here and click maps. What did they click on and how far down did they scroll? And usually you can tell like, okay, they're not consuming the content, so they're not understanding it, or they're not clicking on the buttons we want them to click on, and so forth. So you get a lot of insights. This is really powerful. But my third way is actually, I think in my opinion, the best way. It's not that expensive, which is using sort of like an interview focus group type service. You can use UserBrain, but there's tons of different ones, Usability Hub. And basically here you can hire people and it's very inexpensive. It's only, I don't know if it's like 10 or 20 bucks per person. So if you can carve out a couple $100, you can get some really good answers. And basically what you can do is you can show them the ad that the client saw or the visitors are seeing part of your funnel, and you can then show them the landing page or the product page you're sending them to, and then you can simply ask them, hey, is there anything here that feels off, anything that doesn't feel credible, any UX that's off, what comes to mind, right? So you ask them a bunch of questions, and people are paid to give legitimate opinions and take it serious, so they're going to give you really good answers, and some of them will record what they're saying and what they're feeling, and it's going to be powerful because just with about 10 or 20 different replies, it's going to give you a good hint on what's wrong here and what is off, what doesn't feel good about your services, why their gut feeling is telling them something is wrong. So this is something we use all the time for our clients as well, is sort of getting a little bit of interview style questions out there and getting that initial opinion, and it gets incredible results. So try it out as well. Number 2 for high bounce rate is that your above the fold section is not communicating what's important. So it should be hooking people immediately. That's super, super important. There should be a gallery, images if you're an e-com brand. The benefits that people care about is really, really important too. And then it should sort of allude to things that people care about as well. So there's more to come. Here's a really nice example of what to not do. So this is Frank Body. What you can see here is a top of the fold section that will definitely get a lot of people bouncing off, because what you can see here is, it's not very interesting. We got elements blocking the page. That's not very good. So I cannot really see what's going on. You're asked to add to cart immediately before even understanding the product or what's inside. So again, people are not ready for that. The reviews are grayed off. You can barely see them. Basically, they should redo the gallery, make sure that you can see the next image, add thumbnails here. Maybe they should add benefits above the fold. Maybe they should explain the product a little bit better, and then they would be able to reduce the bounce rate on this specific page. So good example of what to not do on a PDP, where you're just careless about the product and haven't really got them excited to see more. Here's an example that's better from Leave, where we can see that the page looks great. We can see the next image already. And since there's a little bit of copy, I'm actually intrigued to see what is on the next image. And I'm also intrigued by the gallery down here, because I can see there's some really interesting things with some before and afters, and there's a little bit of copies. I can actually understand the product by just looking in the gallery, which is the new way of thinking about e-commerce, is that if your gallery doesn't explain your product and sells it by itself, you already lost people, right? We have zero patience anymore. So this is how you want to do it. And this is already getting me excited to see more. And then here, this part is not great, but at least you got a clear price and you can see the reviews. I would like to allude a little bit more to what's to come down here. But this section up here is near perfect. I'm really happy with that. And that's how you want to do that section. So this is a powerful way to reduce bounce rate. Redo your galleries like this, and you're going to see a massive effect. If you're looking for examples like Leave, you can check out on our website, purplefy.io/DTC landing pages in 3 different words. You will be able to see a guide. You'll be able to see this resource where you can check out all the newest landing pages, and you can find more examples like Leave, and it's always updated on our website. Let's go to number 3, which is to eliminate distractions. Most sites with high bounce rates, they have way too much going on, and it's too hard to understand what to do first. I just found an example here that's a little bit too busy for my taste. So there's just tons of banners, and the buttons are part of the banners, and they look the same. There's just so much to pay attention to, and different offers are all over the page. And this makes it hard for me to understand what is the first place I should start, basically, right? Where do I go first? If I'm not interested in this set they have here for sale, then, I kind of have to navigate up here, so I don't feel like it's the best experience. It's not a great homepage, and you gotta be careful with this. Overloading people with information is a great way to get people to bounce off your page. So eliminating that, less is more, getting people to go to a single area that's really important, and having a visual hierarchy. If you want to have a lot of things, well, at least don't stack it so close like this. Allow a little bit more white space, allow people to digest each section individually instead of just like smashing it all together like here. Number 4 is a good old one, increase site speed, because if you have a really slow website, the bounce rate is going to go through the roof. We all know this stuff, but really specific improvements you can make, which we have been doing for our clients all the time, e-com specifically, is to fix the scripts on the website, because you're going to have a lot of marketing scripts and so forth. So use Google Tag Manager, get your scripts in there. If you're really good, you can sort of set up when the script should load as well to not distract from the first render of the website as well. So that's something you can set up. You want to use lazy loading as well. You want to make sure that content that doesn't need to load immediately has delayed load time as well. You can definitely optimize your images to take less space without quality loss. There are tons of apps that can do this automatically. So make sure you do this for your entire image library. It's going to have a good effect. Then you want to clean up your code. So a lot of themes are, broken and hacked, so they're basically not doing well. And if you review the code, there's a lot to fix, a lot of things that can be improved to increase speed. And so you need to do a big code review, make sure you get all that code cleaned up so your theme is perfectly fit. And this is if you're on Shopify, but this is going to be true to any shop system, to be honest with you. So yeah, this is really, really key. And these are things that can just improve so much more. I would say that loading speed is a massive killer, but if you have fixed that, obviously proceed to the next one. I always want to go through your UX, right? Because your UX is definitely going to kill a visitor's desire to be on your website. I always say to people, think of your visitors as someone that's driving a car, and when that car is out of gas, they're going to leave the website, right? So their patience in this case is that tank of gas. And if you're making them work for it all the time to find what they're looking for, they're going to leave your website super, super fast. I'm going to give you some specific examples here now that can really help you get that average session duration up and reduce bounce rate. So first of all, a lot of people know what they're looking for, but you're not making it easy for them to find because your search functionality is not easy to use and it's hard to find the search bar in the first case. So here we did something from my first years where we added a dynamic search box up here. So this text is changing all the time depending on the trending categories. And this alone increased revenue by 6 figures. And it was really, really a huge improvement for them. And so many moms, parents, whatever, they're using it because they know what they want, and we could see that in the search data before we did this experiment for them. So it was a big game changer. You can see it on our website. It's live right now as well. Another thing is to add in little thumbnails like this instead of just text-based categories. So you can do this at the top of your homepage, just under your navigation bar. You can do this on collection pages. And again, it's saving time because I don't have to go up to the hamburger menu and I can just instantly understand what a category is about because you have your thumbnails and your images in here. So this is huge. No one is doing it. I'm still shocked why no one is doing it. And most traffic is bouncing because it is just too cumbersome to navigate through the whole website over and over and over. If you went to, dental treats and you're like, okay, I browsed through 100 different SKUs and you're at the bottom of that collection page, it would be pretty nice if there was a little button I could click to go to the top, or if this one was also present at the bottom of the collection page as well. Collection pages is a big under-optimized page because Shopify out of the box, for example, doesn't provide very good collection pages. So there's a lot of room for improvement here. One of them can be adding filters that are sticky when you scroll down to stay with you, and you can remove them by single click. I often talk about this because we've done this test for a lot of our clients and it usually works super, super well. As I said before, a simple click like an arrow that takes you to the top of the page. If you're at the bottom of a collection page, or if you're at the bottom of a collection page and you see like page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you want to remove that and have a infinity scroll so that it continues to load more products without having to click the buttons. So as you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm taking away the work of navigating through the website. I'm making it easy for you. I'm making you want to stay on the website for longer. And this is really key here. So definitely important if you want to succeed. The last thing is fixing bugs and friction points. So this is a huge one. Obviously, there's going to be bugs all over the website. You can find those bugs by watching session recordings. And I really like the mouse flow interface here because I can see a score out here called friction score. Basically, the higher the friction score, the more issues there are on that page based on their algorithms. And we found it to be pretty accurate. And I also love that I can score based on views and so forth, because then I can see the pages that are more important. Obviously, here I would be fixing this page first. I could watch all the session recordings. I could watch all the clicks that have, increased the friction score. So this is a great way to reduce bounce rate, is to literally use this filter inside of MouseFlow, and it's super easy to use as well. So anyway, guys, these were 6 powerful ways to reduce bounce rate. I hope they were helpful. If you do like this kind of content, please do subscribe to the channel and review my podcast on Spotify.